Kia would like you to spend $121,000 on this electric 7-seater. Yes, and that means that this is the most expensive Kia ever sold. Now you might be shocked that this is a $100,000 Kia, but let me tell you that this has a good reason to cost that much money. One, it's the features. Two, the fact it's an electric vehicle, which are inherently more expensive than a pure petrol SUV. And three, it's the only electric 7-seater SUV you can buy here in Australia right now. Before I jump into this review, make sure you visit productreview.com.au because there you're going to be able to review your own car and also read reviews from owners who have bought cars and live with cars like the Kia EV9. The Kia EV9 debuted at the LA Auto Show, and I got the privilege of checking out the concept when it was in Sydney, and it looked pretty cool. This is no longer a concept anymore, and it is a very real car you can buy right now. But this is made possible because this is riding on Hyundai and Kia's eGMP platform, which is shared with cars like the Ioniq 5, Ioniq 6, and the EV6. And you might be asking yourself, why $121,000? Well, this is the most expensive EV9 you can buy. It's called the GT line. You can buy less expensive models of the EV9, which are called the Air and Earth. There was a missed opportunity to call it Earth, Wind and Fire, but here we have the GT line as the range topper. The EV9 GT line is powered by a 99 kilowatt hour battery, which has two electric motors putting out a combined output of 282.2 kilowatts and 700 newton meters of torque. The tar weight, according to Kia, of this vehicle is 2.6 tons, so it is massive. But what's weird is that even if you buy the slightly less expensive version of this car, which is known as the Earth, which has the same battery and same power output, it's still going to be slower in a straight line compared to the GT line. This thing can hit 0 to 100 kilometers an hour in just 5.3 seconds, which for a 2-ton school bus is very quick. What's brilliant about the EV9 is that it's heavy, so it feels more expensive, and it's also very quiet in here, thanks to some noise insulation around the glass doors and even in the tires. It makes for a great family car too, because you have these camera side mirrors, which, yes, do take a little while to get used to, but have some very useful guidelines in there and are really good to read at night. And you've also got a camera up here which can be used in place of your rear vision mirror in case you need better visibility out the back. Driving the EV9 will get you lots of attention whether you like it or not, considering there are pretty much none of these on the road and it looks a lot like the concept car that it's based off. For a heavy electric car, the ride is extremely impressive. This thing just wafts over the road. You can feel the weight in this thing, but thanks to regenerative braking, it does mean that you don't have to be pressing too hard on the brake pedal all the time. And information like your speed and vital car information and also your range is readily available at a glance in front of you, which is very useful. But of course, you toggle your drive mode into sport mode and you'll get yourself a pretty quick car. Oh my gosh, it is a little bit painful to put all 700 newton meters down on the road just like that, but if you want to quickly get off the line in a big SUV, there's a pretty good reason to buy an EV9. While engines in most family cars are getting smaller, electric cars are not getting any less powerful. This amount of power is a lot of fun to have, and it's refreshing too because it doesn't feel like we've got a wheezy 4-cylinder diesel under the bonnet or we've got a very thirsty V6. It's actually a really nice powertrain. You hear that beeping that's going on? That's the driver assistance system that is having all sorts of issues right now. It is chucking up a warning sign every so often. It turns itself off, then it'll turn back on again, and it's going to cause that beeping all the time in this car. That's a fault that's happened in this car. It is a broken system you'd have to go to the dealership for to get it sorted out, and it means we can't use systems like the automatic steering while we're driving on roads like this, which works really well in Kia and Hyundai's cars, but here, it's broken. And that's that beeping you're hearing right now. And my favorite thing is that when you look down to activate the drive mode or terrain mode, the car will yell at you for being distracted. It has some sensors that look at your eyes, and if it senses you're looking down at the buttons that Kia have installed in their own car, you're not even looking at a mobile device, they will beep at you, which is extremely annoying. Now, while that failing ADAS system is annoying and it could be fixed from a simple software update from Hyundai and Kia, that doesn't take away from how good this car is. For starters, its proportions are wildly practical if you need to carry around a lot of people and luggage. But despite this being a big box, Kia claims that this has a drag coefficient of just 0.28, which is pretty slippery for a brick like this. Yes, this is missing a grille and some other other cool features up here include these air vents, which act as active aero, which open and close whenever the car needs air to flow through the front. And you also get these dramatic LED lights here, which draw a lot of attention and remind me a little bit of the Cadillac Escalade. Unlike some other European manufacturers, I really appreciate how Kia have carved out a frunk under here, which is very useful for carrying things like cables or even putting away valuables you don't want stowed inside the cabin. And what's great is that this thing is pretty easily serviceable as well, because the cabin air filter is just right here. And you've also got quick access to other vital fluids right here underneath the bonnet instead of being hidden away under all this plastic. Helping draw attention to you are these 21-inch wheels with these plastic cover inserts to help with aerodynamics, and these Continental tires are also filled with the sound insulating foam to help reduce tire noise traveling to inside the cabin. And additionally, the suspension here has been tuned for local roads, just like most of Kia and Hyundai's cars. And there is no shortage of technology here at all. You have cameras for wing mirrors to help reduce drag on the outside of the car, and you also do have these pop-out door handles, which again help reduce drag. And there's a lot of gloss black contrasting elements on the outside of this car, like up here on the roof rails, around the window sills, and also around the wheels. And Kia have gone for ultra minimalism back here because they've hidden the rear wiper up in the rear spoiler. You've also got these large taillights, which look pretty neat. And you've also got yourself a camera here for your rear vision mirror camera. That's right, there's a lot of cameras here. So you get 2 displays for your side vision cameras. And so by having a camera on the rear, it means you can get a camera feed directly to your rear vision mirror just like that. But the whole reason why you're buying a Kia EV9 is for the boot space, of course. You get an okay amount of boot space with the 3rd row up, but by simply pulling on these straps here, you allow them to fold down out of place to give you a very generous boot back here. Although the load height is quite high because we have batteries and motors under here, and underneath this false floor is simply an area to store your rear cargo cover and also some bits and pieces for your tire repair kit. Because the EV9 does not come with a spare tire. And it also doesn't come with any air suspension, so you can't raise and lower this tailgate area. Now, while you can't electronically fold down the 3rd row, at least you can press this button to set a manual release to fold down the 2nd row. But unfortunately, you can't bring them up by pressing the same button. But a cool point of differentiation is the fact you get an actual AC plug here in the rear, which puts out 250 volts, which is great for powering more energy demanding devices like a laptop, which you can do simply by plugging it here in the rear. But the most unique thing about this EV9 is that it is a 3-row electric SUV. Hopping into the 3rd row as a 5'11" adult isn't a problem thanks to these seats, which fold out of the way to give you a really easy point of entry. Problem is legroom. Now, these seats are quite upright, but they're not too far back. I can slide behind them with relative comfort, and I would be pretty comfortable for a short trip. And I can make myself even more comfortable by putting these seats back a little bit. You've got yourself a relatively comfortable 3rd row, but this is going to be pretty uncomfortable for people who are taller than, say, 6 foot and have long legs. By far, the biggest advantage of the EV9 is its 2nd row seating. And these doors are ridiculously heavy, which feels nice and luxurious, so that's good. You've got rear heated and ventilated seats on the outside. You have an armrest here in the middle if you're not using the middle seat. But if you are using the middle seat, you have plenty of feet room, and you have an okay amount of hip room too. So this is one of the most usable middle seats in any car that I've tested. You've also got your own climate controls up here, your own air vents, and of course, your own sunroof here. And these vegan leather seats do feel very comfortable as well. The EV9 easily steals the show for the most comfortable seats I've ever tested. Now, these seats debuted in the Ioniq 5 and have been improved ever since, and they're also certified by a board of ergonomic professionals. And what I'm using right now is called relaxation mode, where I'm able to tilt the seat back on its axis instead of just reclining the back part, and my hips have sunken in. I've also got a support for my calves to keep my legs elevated, and I've got a netted headrest to keep me nice and relaxed. The downside is we do not get massaging seats for the passenger, which is a big oversight considering that the passenger seat does. And while I am a fan of this vegan leather here, it does feel a tiny bit waxy, but it doesn't detract from how comfortable these seats are. The EV9's interior is a masterclass in technology, materials, and also minimalism. We get the same weighty doors as we do as the back doors, which feel very luxurious. We get a heads-up display, which uses augmented reality to relay your navigation up there, which is very useful. You get a Meridian surround sound speaker system, which is the same type of speaker system you'd find on a Range Rover. You're getting lots of different materials here. We're getting some different plastics, some different soft touch rubbers, and also we get some cloth material and some eco leather. There are minimal buttons here as well, and everything is very usable. We have these haptic buttons hidden into the dashboard here. We have a physical volume knob, and we have also physical dials to quickly control your temperature and fan speed for your climate controls. And you also get a 12-volt socket up front. You also get a clear pass through the front, but instead Kia have put this giant center console here, which is useful for putting large water bottles in here. And you've also got some hard buttons for your camera system, your parking sensors, and your hill descent control. And you've also got a wireless charging pad, which works very well, but a pathetic center storage cubby right here. And you also get a fingerprint sensor, so when you customize your drive modes and you're swapping drivers, you simply scan your fingerprint and everything will be configured for you, which is pretty cool. And we also get this really cool looking steering wheel with paddles on them for your regenerative braking. There are a total of 7 displays inside the EV9, 3 of which are a 12-inch infotainment, a 5-inch climate display, and a 12-inch driver's display. The infotainment is basically used for Apple CarPlay, and when you need to use other settings, you can just simply press a home button here and you have a very simple layout. You also have connected services for things like weather, and you can also go ahead and enable valet mode, check a calendar. You can even run vehicle diagnostics, which is kind of cool. And you also have all your car settings here for things like disabling that very annoying beeping that happens when you go over the speed limit by 1 km/h. And you can also enable active sound design, which is basically an engine noise of some description, but you can turn it off if you don't want that. And what's cool is that these Ergo Motion seats have a posture assistant, and you also got lumbar stabilizing systems which activate and help sort of keep your back all aligned, which is awesome if you have a bad back or want to prevent getting one. This screen right here is the climate display, which, as you can tell, is everything for your climate. And you press this button up here and it will expand out onto the screen to show you everything about your climate controls. And when you don't want that, you simply press X and that goes away. I rarely have to enable that full screen because I've got plenty of physical controls for all your basic climate control needs. But you've also got quick buttons up here to do the same up on this little display. And the driver's display, it's pretty basic. It's just got your speed, your range, your car information, and you can customize it just a little bit. So you can have it linked to the drive mode, you can also have it look like that, or you can have it look like this, which really makes no difference. So I just keep it on style A and I don't bother changing it. And of course, when you go to indicate, you will have a display pop up here for your blind spots, which is very useful. The EV9 comes with a column shifter that has your start button mounted to it, and you also get an illuminated badge here on your steering wheel. The interior of the EV9 is really quite simplistic in how to use it, despite having so many features. It's really easy to get used to this thing. There's lots of hard buttons, and that's a good thing. But if you're looking for something that's space age and techie, you're gonna have to go buy a Tesla, but you can't buy a 7-seat Tesla anymore. So you're gonna have to buy this, which still is lagging behind in the technology that's packed into the center screen, even though Kia is doing its best job to bring as many cool features to this car. The EV9 is capable of moving forwards and backwards out of a car space using your key. But what else is impressive is that the EV9 GT line is able to actually steer itself in and out of a 90-degree park, which, to be honest, I don't know when you're going to use that, but this feature, moving it forwards and backwards out of a tight space, is very useful. And it's also a really fun way to prank people as well. But I also have to talk about this key. Check it out. It looks quite nice. It's got like this recycled plastic material on the outside, but your physical key is not in here. Instead, it hangs as a little attachment on the outside, which is a bit unglamorous and not very elegant, but here it is, and they've done the best job of keeping it looking pretty. You've also got buttons here to unlock and lock your car and also open the boot, and every time you do that, your little Kia logo will flash a little green light. And you can also remote start your car, move it forwards and backwards, and also hold this front button to open your front trunk. But I have to say, this is a pretty nice looking key. The EV9 comes with a 99 kilowatt hour battery, which takes some time to charge up. If you find a 350 kilowatt charger, which is the max charge rate that this car can accept, it'll take you just over 20 minutes to charge it up. Those are rare, so it's going to take you a bit longer from a 50 kilowatt charger or even something like a 200 kilowatt charger. And once you've charged the thing up to 100%, the GT line will get you around 505 kilometers of WLTP range, or more around 500 kilometers of regular real world range, which is pretty impressive. And definitely usable if you want to go on a small road trip in your electric SUV. But of course, it wouldn't be a Kia or Hyundai electric car if it didn't come with this, which is the vehicle to load port adapter. So you plug this into your charge port, and then it gives you access to an actual household plug here, which can power a number of devices, which is great if you want to power a work from home setup when you're away, or you just want to use the power out of this car externally to your car. The two annoying things about the EV9 is that it's got really annoying safety features, and it also lags behind Tesla when it comes to the tech on the inside. But of course, the three great things are its range, its comfort, and its features. This thing is an impressive vehicle. If you need seats, space, and an electric car, this is your best option. And it's also scary how brands like Kia could build a first generation Cerato, but then a couple of years later make something like this. Thanks for watching. My name's Cameron. I'll see you in the next one.